don't pay money to anybody if you've not seen the property, because you could be scammed. And hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about scholarship opportunities, life in the UK, personal development and career tips. So if these are the kind of things you love to hear about, please hit on that subscribe button, because I am full of premium content and I'm going to bring it right at you. If you're also a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. You are the real MVP. This video, I'm going to be talking about my accommodation struggles in the UK when I was coming into the UK, and I am going to give you the advantages and disadvantages, if there are, of going with a school accommodation or going with a private accommodation. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So the first thing I'm going to say is that as an international student coming into the UK, the very important thing you need to start looking at is your accommodation. Once you already have your offer of admission and you've accepted, and maybe you've paid your deposits to the school, if you're not on scholarship, it is good you start looking forward to getting an accommodation, and then you can either get a school accommodation or a private accommodation. I started off with a private accommodation, and guys, I had a very bad experience starting off with a private accommodation. And this private accommodation was with a live-in landlord. Live-in landlord means your landlord is living in the property with you. So it was really a bad one. So imagine your landlord living with you. So it's like they're controlling every single thing you do. And this was because I needed to come into the city where I am now. I needed to come in and settle in. So trying to look for a private accommodation was not very easy for me. So this was the only offer I got. This was the only one that wanted to, give me. Most of them were not, they don't want students, and there were just a lot of things so then I got a private accommodation with a living landlord. It's a usual thing, right, in the UK. I will never advise you to go with a living landlord. Even if you're going for a private accommodation, I would never advise you to go with a living landlord, because, my dear, I see something in Nigeria. Oh my God, I'm sorry if you're not a Nigerian, but I see something. Imagine they wanted to, control the living life out of my life. From the little, the oh my God, the minimum, I don't know, the barest thing they wanted to complain. They were complaining. There were just a lot of things. I never had a breathing space. So I would never advise you to go with a live-in landlord, even if you're going for a private accommodation. So this is my story. I don't want to go deep into it so that I don't take your time. Now, the school accommodation, it's good because you get to, apply through your school. And since you're already a student, your school knows you. So they will not want to ask you for references or guarantors, because obviously when you apply for the admission, you already gave them referees. Private accommodation would ask you for a guarantor, someone who is in the UK and who is working in the UK, who can confirm that he or she knows you for a certain period of time and can attest to the fact that you can pay your rent every month, because the rent is paid monthly. Even with the school, the rent is paid monthly. Okay, so all you need to do is get a guarantor. If you're going for the private accommodation, if you have someone in the UK who can guarantee that they know you, you can get a private accommodation. But it's better and easier getting a school accommodation, because all you need to do is to just go on the school portal, or you call your school, check the accommodation team, call them or email them and tell them that you will need a school accommodation, and then they will put it in for you. And all you need to do is to pay your rent every month, and then the rents could vary depending on the kind of accommodation you are looking forward to. And if you're bringing your family too, don't be scared, because the school accommodation can still cover you. All you just need to do is tell them what exactly you want. Now, the second thing I would say with like a second advantage for school accommodation is that school accommodation is better because it's closer. It's closer to your classrooms, closer to your lecture halls, to the facilities, library. Everything is just around. So it's good, unlike the private accommodation where you need to commute, take a bus or train. And another thing is, you don't even know where you're coming to. You don't know the environment. You've not stayed here before, so you don't know how far that private accommodation is from your school. When I was staying at that other place with the living landlord, I was commuting for about 40 to 45 minutes, and I still need to like leave very early so I could still catch up with the bus. So it's stressful. That should also be something you would consider when looking for a private accommodation. Another thing you need to consider when looking for private accommodation is that it could be very difficult. It could be very difficult getting it if you don't have a guarantor, like I mentioned, and if the landlord would not want to, you know, show you the place. I don't advise that you'd pay, because they will obviously want you to pay a deposit or an holding fee for you to, an holding fee, more precisely, an holding fee for you to keep the property. Because if you don't pay the holding fee, then they know that you're not serious. Or what you can do is you can still go through your school. If you really need a private accommodation, you can still go through your schools. For my school had a link to private sources, persons or platforms they were partnering with that were giving private accommodation now, but I didn't use that. So you can still check if your school does that. You could also still check sites like, just browse student lets, student lets around me. Those are accommodation that are for students alone. It's better because private accommodation, most of them are not looking for students. They are looking for workers, persons that are working, because they want to be sure that you can pay the rent. Few of them would accept students, so that's why it's somehow difficult, like I said, getting a private accommodation. Another thing I would say is, which may be of help to you, if you have someone in the UK in that same city where you're about coming to study, you could maybe stay with the person for say a week or two and sort out your accommodation. It's better because you get to go for viewing. You can view the accommodation. Guys, do not pay any dime to someone who, or to anybody. Don't pay money to anybody if you've not seen the property, because you could be scammed. And it's real. It's real. I heard of someone who lost £800 to scammers in the UK. Yes, in the UK. So please, careful not to pay money to someone all in the name of accommodation. It should be someone that you know, someone that you trust, before you could give. Maybe if the person is in the UK and wants to sort your accommodation for you, it should be someone you trust. But if you are checking on private websites for private accommodation, then I do not advise you to pay for accommodation that you have not seen. There are websites, and I'm going to drop it in the description box below, where you can actually get this private accommodation. Websites like Spare Room, Zoopla, Gumtree, and other properties, student lets, that you could actually search in your city and you would get accommodation through them, because there are agents that post on those websites, and also the landlords post on those websites. There's one thing I would advise you when reading, because those websites will tell you about the current flatmates. If it's a shared flat, they will tell you about the current flatmates. Please read carefully and also ask questions, because most of them would also put, like, they'll say, oh, current flatmates, 3 meals, these. They will just write a little thing about the current people. So please read and be selective, because these are the persons you'll be staying with. For me, it was a no to any accommodation that they were just males. It was a no to me. I made sure that there were other, like, females too, like, together, because I needed to be in a place where I feel like I'm safe. So it's very important that you check this, and it's also important that you check the postcode, because you could actually be staying in somewhere I will give for example mine. I was thinking when I looked for the other one, I was thinking, and then I used to stay at BS5 and my school is in BS8. So I was like, oh, BS5, BS8, 8 is not far from 5, you know. Crazy. Little did I know that it was not like that. I'm serious. It's not like that. And imagine BS5 that 5 and 8 are not too far apart. My dear, they are far because I spend close to 40-45 minutes on the road and it's not easy. It could be more than that, but that's what the bus app will tell you. Also, you need to consider if it is all bills included or not. This will be mostly for the private accommodation because the schools, I believe the schools would have all bills included. But there are some private accommodation that will tell you the bills are not included. Bills means water rates, light bills, and all those stuff. They may not be included. So it means you will be the one paying it and not your landlord. While if they say bills included, then your landlord is the one paying it. It's part of your rent. So I would advise you go for the ones that the bills are all included. All bills included. Very important. You need to know that, please. It's very, very important. You need to, because if you don't know if the bills are included and if you don't ask these questions, it means that you will be spending extra every month on bills. And you know that there's constant light, there's constant water supply, so it's going to be very high. So you need to make sure that the bills are all included. And then also when you're asking like around or asking the landlord or the agent, you could ask them the environment, how safe the environment is, the heater in the room, if the heater is working and all of that. So those are things that you need to ask. You need to also find out if it's a furnished apartment or if it's an unfurnished apartment. The schools will usually furnish it by providing a bed, mattress, and a table, a reading chair for you. But private accommodations may not be like that. Some may be like that, some may not be like that. So you need to know those specifics when getting a private accommodation. The last thing I'm going to say is when signing the contract, you need to, for the school accommodation, what I know about the school accommodation is that it's a 12-month contract. So if your course, or obviously if your course is a 12-month contract, then the school accommodation will be a 12-month contract to cover you. And then after 12 months, you leave and look for anywhere you want to stay. Of course, by that time, you're already used to the place. As against private accommodation, you can actually choose. Most of them will tell you 12 months. Some of them will tell you 6 months. So depending on what you want to do, some could be short lets, 3 months. So choose wisely. For private accommodation, I won't advise you to go into a 12-month contract. I will advise you maybe 3 months or 6 months to know if you want to stay there. So that is all I'm going to say, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and I'm going to see you next time in the next video. Thank you. Bye.